This is the Ohio AgNet from the Voice You Know with the News You Trust studio, sponsored by BASF and Zetavo Soybeans, transforming the approach to soybean seed decision making with trailblazing innovation and quality without compromise. I'm Ty Higgins. Going to be broadcasting from Progressive Crop Solutions tomorrow ahead of their customer appreciation meeting. Visit progressivecrops.com to find out all the details. And join us at the BG Tractor Pulls on Wednesday thanks to Nature's premium liquid fertilizer since 1946. Some important updates in CAUV, a Becknology Days preview, and results from the Ohio Crop Tour. This morning's news feed delivered by Ebert's Field Seeds, proven local seed performance for Ohio farmers. It's time to start planting Ebert's. Call 937-473-2521 or visit online at ebertsseeds.com. The 2026 Ohio Crop Tour found strong yield potential across much of the Buckeye State, despite a challenging start to the growing season. Over 4 days, scouts evaluated corn and soybean fields across northern and southern Ohio, looking at plant populations, growth stages, ear and pod development, disease and insect pressure, and yield potential. Corn yield estimates averaged just over 201 bushels per acre on the northern leg and about 212 on the southern leg. Soybean estimates averaged 55 bushels per acre in the north and 54.4 bushels in the south. Tour scouts did find plenty of variability, particularly in northern Ohio. Some fields still relatively young, while early planted fields were well into grain fill. But overall, the crop has recovered remarkably well from late planting, replanting, and uneven stands. You can see county-by-county results and get the final results from the 2026 Ohio Crop Tour online now at ohioagnet.com. There were several positive developments in the 2026 current agricultural use value update, including a slight decline in values for counties undergoing reappraisals and a change to the valuation of permanent pasture land. We cover that significant change with Leah Curtis with Ohio Farm Bureau, their Associate General Counsel, in the new Ohio AgNet podcast.
That's a big priority for us because our main priority with CAV is always to make sure our CAV values are as accurate as they possibly can be. So we want to make sure we are using, the right data, the most up-to-date data as possible, and that we are considering all of the factors that need to be considered to have an accurate farmland value. So when it comes to permanent pasture, of course, permanent pasture is different from cropland and woodland, which are our typical categories. We have for several years worked with the tax department on recognizing permanent pasture as a separate land use, and that it was in the rules and provided for a mechanism to do that. So we have continued to advocate for that. And so what they do essentially now is that we're going to value it similar to how we do woodland. We're going to take that cropland value and we're going to have deductions made. We're going to use that woodland value to also apply to permanent pasture because, of course, permanent pasture land can't be just used for cropland. You're going to have to make investments in it, do a lot of work to get it to a cropland state, and we want to recognize that in its value. And I think it's going to have a big impact for, livestock producers who do have permanent pasture, particularly in areas that maybe have better soil types, because they're going to see a much lower value, and that's going to recognize that difference between cropland versus livestock production. There probably is some permanent pasture out there that's already at that minimum value, so you will not see much of a change there. But if you are on pasture land that maybe does have a higher soil value or is not at the minimum value, you are going to see that drop down.
Plus, Becknology Days is coming up later on this month. We get an update from Jared Chester.
The company's come out with Seed IQ, so the AI-powered digital experience, that helps in terms of share product characterizations. And we've just learned so much when it comes to product characterization and how hybrids, how they work, how they function, how we can better improve in terms of maximizing those hybrids. Myself, I'll be out there. The topics I get to present on our buggy ride is our high yield plot. I know that's always a fan favorite, going out and looking at the 400 bushel challenge and looking at the high yield on soybeans.
More details on Becknology Days coming up a little bit later on this morning in today's featured audio. And you can hear my full conversation with Jared Chester and Leah Curtis with Ohio Farm Bureau on the new Ohio AgNet podcast, online now at ohioagnet.com. Let's check the weather now. Here's Ryan Martin.
I think we make it through your Monday with nothing more than a few spits and sprinkles. Now, don't get me wrong, it's very warm, it's very humid. Dew points staying quite elevated through this entire week, but no new significant rainfall today. And I think we make it through a large part of tomorrow with no rain either. Overnight tomorrow night through Wednesday and Thursday, that's when we see showers and thunderstorms working through Ohio again. 1/2 to 1.5 inch rainfall totals over almost all of the state. We dry down for Friday the 21st and stay that way into Saturday the 22nd. Overnight, Saturday night through Sunday the 23rd, hit and miss scattered showers, probably 1/2 inch or less with 60% coverage, but it is moisture. We cool down then for the start of next week for Monday and early Tuesday. Tuesday afternoon, evening, a frontal boundary comes through, brings more rain. Cool weather the rest of the week with more rain coming over the weekend. I'm Ryan Martin.
Thank you, Ryan. Weather brought to you by Seed Genetics Direct, the #1 fastest growing and largest Ohio-based independent seed company. Our next monthly check-in at Farm Credit Mid-America coming up on Thursday. Tune in as we discuss the latest Farm Credit Mid-America news and updates. And get ready for the Paul Bunyan Show, happening October 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, celebrating 20 years at the Guernsey County Fairgrounds. Unforgettable weekend of machines, sawdust, and lumberjacks, plus some special surprises to celebrate. Visit thepaulbunyonshow.com to grab your tickets now. Advanced sales end before the show. Save money, save time, and skip the line. You can find out more right now, online now at ohioagnet.com. The Ohio AgNet continues next.
Harvest may be ramping up, but your Ohio soybean checkoff has been working all year long. The Ohio Soybean Council is putting your checkoff dollars to work, from advancing research to help produce more profitable beans, to developing new uses for soy-based products. We're focused on delivering value back to Ohio soybean farmers, and we're doing it by investing in the areas that matter most to Ohio farmers. That means strengthening export opportunities, fostering connections with animal agriculture, and continuing to grow demand through biofuels. Visit soyohio.org to see all the ways your Ohio soybean checkoff is at work.
What's better than getting the trusted farm news you count on from Ohio's Country Journal? Having a chance to win a brand new Arctic Ultra Tough cooler. The Ohio's Country Journal sweepstakes are back. Subscribe or renew your subscription today, and you'll be entered for a chance to win one of 2 45-quart Arctic Ultra Tough coolers. Just visit ocj.com/renew for official rules and to complete your subscription or renewal for your chance to win. Ohio's Country Journal, your source for Ohio farm news.
As I mentioned earlier, Becknology Days is just days away. With more details, here's Dusty Sonnenberg.
Joining me today is Jarrett Chester. Jarrett is a PFR agronomy data and information specialist with Beck's. Jarrett, it's a busy time of year for you folks. Obviously, a lot of things ever since the crop went in the ground are busy. But Becknology Days, a big talk of the industry, and that's coming up here August 27, 28, and 29. I think what maybe a lot of folks don't realize, though, here in Ohio, there's a lot of research that goes on in support of the PFR program, and you oversee a lot of that. Tell us more.
Yeah, so exactly right. Kind of hitting on topic number one there, Becknology Days. So that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, August 27th, 28th, 29th. That Thursday and Friday, the show runs from 8 to 4. And then Saturday, it's 8 to 3. But great event. We expect anywhere, typically right around 15,000 people over the 3 days. And so have farmers and their families from all over the Midwest come in. Great show. We're going to be hitting on lots of different agronomic things that we're learning, corn, soybeans, lots of other things that we can highlight as well. So we've got a new AI-powered technology called Seed IQ. And so we're going to be sharing a lot about in terms of how Seed IQ works and the information that's feeding that tool to help farmers better place hybrids and varieties and just really try and better manage them. So other things that I like to point out is, family-friendly event. We serve everyone lunch. There's lots of other things. We've got Matt Bennett, our grain specialist. He's been talking about grain markets. We've got our UAV folks there talking about drones and precision technology. So a little bit of everything. I think this year, Dusty, we've got 7 different riding tours that folks can get on and go out in our PFR plots and look at anything and everything from products that maybe try on your farm, maybe a talc replacement product or a new fungicide to, different practices. So maybe applying nitrogen with the planter on soybeans, for example. So little bit of everything. So I tell most folks, you know, you got to work hard to be able to see most of it in 2 days. So lots at the show. Great event. Beck family of employees takes a lot of pride in terms of putting on a quality show and getting the place really cleaned up and looking nice.
One question some folks may have with the weather that's moved through here recently in central Indiana. How's the facility? Did they dodge some of that, or did they get some of those heavy rains?
We definitely took some of those heavy rains, but we've got a great facility crew there in-house, and so there's no doubt in my mind that the show will definitely go on. The facility will be up and ready and be ready in full force for hopefully a great few days and great crowd.
Good to hear. Well, sort of on those same lines, a lot of research that goes on here in the state of Ohio. And I guess first question I would have along that, how did you guys fare some of that heavy weather that came through about a week ago at the research farm?
Yeah, so we're sitting, we ended up right around 4.5 inches of rain. And so definitely got some it, not as much as others, but more than some. Had a little bit of wind out of, if you remember back, there was some wind that moved through there. So we're just east of Columbus, right there by the Farm Science Review, and had some wind that affected a few plots and had a little bit of corn leaning for a while. But as a whole, dodged, I think, the big bullet in terms of, I've heard some pretty wild totals out there from 7, 8, 10, 12 inches. You get over towards like Richmond, Indiana. So pretty fortunate here.
My guest again today has been Jared Chester. He is PFR Agronomy, Data, and Information Specialist with Beck's, talking about the upcoming Becknology Days and some of the practical farm research being done here in the Buckeye State. Reporting for the Ohio AgNet, I'm Dusty Sonnenberg.
Thank you, Dusty. We'll get a check of the markets and some news behind the numbers after this as the Ohio AgNet continues.
Looking for heavy equipment but don't know where to buy? Purple Wave Auction has you covered. Always online and always no reserve. It's your destination for construction or ag equipment ready to work. We even sell semis, trailers, and fleet equipment for your operation. Best part? It's free to join. Head to purplewave.com. That's purplewave.com. Sign up for a free account and start bidding today. Purple Wave Auction, the easiest and most straightforward way to buy and sell equipment.
Life on the farm moves fast, and so does the news that matters to you. Stay ahead with the Digital Daily from Ohio AgNet and Ohio's Country Journal. Each morning, get the top ag headlines, market trends, weather updates, and the stories shaping Ohio agriculture, all delivered right to your inbox. It's free, it's easy, and it keeps you informed before the day gets going. Sign up now at ohioagnet.com for the Digital Daily and get yours first thing in the morning. Welcome back to the Ohio AgNet. I'm Ty Higgins, and this morning's market analysis is brought to you by Louis Dreyfus Company in Upper Sandusky. Opening to receive soybeans starting September 1st. Ohio farmers plan to get your RFID tag the week of August 24th from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Learn more by calling 419-731-7100. 419-731-7100. Here's Ryan Martin.
Grain markets finished the week last week on an up note, led by wheat. An attack on Baltic Russia got the wheat market super exciting. Wheat futures up about 3% on escalating and expanding war in the Black Sea region. Ukraine put a drone attack in at a well-known port in the Baltic Sea, a Russian port. All three terminals at the Novo port were shuttered on Friday. Russia's grain export capacity for now is down to about 20 to 25% of normal in the wheat market. That means they have to go somewhere else. Now, I will argue with the big rally that we've seen here, it seems like the U.S. market may be trying to price itself out of global wheat trade, but we will see. U.S. vegetation health data as of August 12th featured a deterioration of conditions in North Dakota, the Southern Plains, Illinois, and others. This week is the Pro Farmer Crop Tour working across the countryside. Could be rather interesting to see what they find, especially given last week's strong weather in parts of the East. I'm Ryan Martin.
Thank you, Ryan. A check of markets on the Ohio AgNet brought to you by FS Envision and High Soy. Seed made for this ground. Learn more at fsseed.com/Ohio. Corn for September, a quarter penny higher overnight at $4.59 1/4. December, $4.83 3/4 and a half better. Soybeans for September down a penny and a quarter at $11.76 1/2. November, $11.91 1/4, down a penny and a quarter. September wheat a half penny to the good at $6.75 1/4. December 690 and a quarter, up by 3/4. After Friday's trade, August live cattle down 260 at 223.62. October 218.87, down $1.17. Feeder cattle for September down 265 at 334.55. October 325.42, down 337. And lean hogs for October down 37 points at 81.75. December 72.47 and down 62. Get more of today's farm news, markets, and weather online at ohioagnet.com. I'm Ty Higgins reporting.